Amazing Authors, number 18, with Marcie Maxfield, starting in momentarily. And she is the author of M's Awful Good Fortune. As you all know, An Empty Room is a story waiting to happen, and you are the author.
So, without further ado, welcome everyone to Amazing Authors, episode number 18. Like I said, I have award-winning author at that, Marcie Maxfield, here to talk about her award-winning novel, M's Awful Good Fortune. And I have her beautiful book with me today. I have read it, and it is really quite a read. It does feel a bit memoir, but we always let the author talk about that. I know that we use our own creative license with fiction, so I get to talk to you about all of that today. But it's a beautiful cover. It makes you want to go travel somewhere. And I know in August, we all may be feeling a little bit more itchy to go. So without further ado, welcome, Marcie, to Amazing Authors. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, Meg. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here.
I'm happy to have you. You know, one of the things I love about this show is that, it has become not so much about the book, but more about the story behind the book, the author herself, and what it took for you to put this book out into the world, which really is fascinating. Every time I talk to a new author, I always get a bit more of the story and what it takes, the perseverance it takes to actually put pen to paper, or in this case, probably the computer, but go from there to make the story come to life in such a way that it really captures the audience and wants them to turn the page after page after page to get to the end. So thank you, Carolyn, for being here. Like I said, Jen, welcome. And once again, thank you, Marcie. And our tagline, like I said, is An Empty Room is a story waiting to happen, and you are the author. This is the room where we get to create magic through inspiration. So welcoming you, the amazing author, Marcie Maxfield, to the table to create the storyteller through the story. And this is actually my favorite part. So welcome, everyone. It's a good thing that we're having this conversation because you are off on some sort of a book tour right now. I think coming back from it, correct?
Yeah, actually, wait, where's my t-shirt?
There you go. I love it.
I was in Traverse City, Michigan. And actually, there's a chapter in the book called In the Mitten, where the character goes to her heart home, Traverse City. So I had a little bit of a mini book tour there, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, my God. So, I know that your book came out during, the pandemic. So now that you get to be out in front of your audience, how exciting is that?
It's so cool. It's such a different energy. And I did miss that. And I also have a big event. I have a Barnes & Noble event in Los Angeles at the end of the month. And it's just all so exciting because launching a book during COVID is kind of solitary business.
It is. And, I want you to tell us a little bit about that so people know where to go and to meet you in person, because really, if they haven't read your book yet and then they meet you, they're definitely going to be interested in the book. And if they've read your book and they will get to meet you, have you sign it, have, that engagement. It'll even bring more of the characters to life. And like I said, it's a bit memoirish, but yes, you kept that creative license. So for sure.
Oh, I'm happy to talk about that because that is the question everybody wants to know. How much of this is true?
Last night I had a show, and the interviewee quoted Lord Byron, and he said, "Truth is stranger than fiction." So clearly, many times, of course, Sorry, Not Sorry. Even the titles of your chapters are really engaging. I was thinking even Sorry, Not Sorry is like the 6th Broadway musical where she sings that. Anyway, back to you. So I definitely want to give people, a little bit about you, the author, so they get to know a little bit more. And so without further ado, your voice is fierce, authentic, and personal. You're known for infusing humor and wit into feminist issues that are typically not typically funny, excuse me. Her award-winning debut novel, M's Awful Good Fortune, is an exploration of marriage and compromise, blurs the line between memoir and fiction. Her plays, Girls Together Always, won the Encore Producers Award, the Hollywood Fringe Festival. So you're no stranger to the world of writing per se. And you also, like you said, you're from Detroit. based in Southern California, and you've lived in Europe and Asia. You're married with 2 children, and you have a French Bulldog named Bader. And I always say when someone puts that in the bio, there's always a good story around Bader. Short for Rue Bader Girl, which we all love. And then, Rue Bader Girl, and AKA the notorious RBG, the 2 cats named Hunky and Dory, which I love. So that is, you know, you in like a bit of a nutshell. You're certainly going to expand on that. But, you know, I'm so happy to have you. You're definitely one of my favorite authors. I really enjoyed your book. It was a quick read for me, which, you know, for me, I'm like the kind of person who underlines and highlights. So I definitely appreciated what you gave me on this. And certainly I felt like I was traveling the world. So thank you for that. So you tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. You know, my lived experience is a lot like M's. I've lived in Paris, Tokyo, Shanghai, and Seoul. And in those moves were because I was what I'm calling a tag-along wife. Well, I didn't make up that term. And so I followed my husband's career. And it's a lot like being a military wife. It's a lot like being a you know, foreign service wife. It's a lot like being Michelle Obama and having your husband's career usurp yours. So it's a kind of, once I started to realize that it was a bigger, more universal story, it went from being a memoir, which frankly was, the memoir was kind of like, I'm not that exciting. And so really, it was once and I never wanted to use my own name. And so I created this character M. And as soon as I created this M, she just photobombed the book. She took off. She has a voice. And it's not like I didn't write her, but I do think it was a fever dream. I think she said, I tell people it's 10% of what might go on in my brain blown up to 100% of a character. So I think
you called it fever. What did you call it? Fever?
It was like it was a fever dream. And you mentioned earlier that, you know, using the computer to work, but actually I wrote most of this pencil to paper, because I find that when I write pencil to paper, I bypass the editor and I just keep going. And when I sit at a computer, I'm going to worry about every sentence. But when I'm writing, it is more like you're journaling and you're just, you know, then I have to edit and transcribe later. But
no,
it was handwritten.
Well, you know, a lot of the initial, you know, ideas, I think it's a more natural flow when you write it from pen to paper, like you're speaking to. And then I think that, you know, fleshing them out and then editing and all of that other fun stuff comes later. But I love that you say that that's a part of your practice. And I love how authors do, in fact, share their practice, because I do know people were talking about writer's block and what that is. And sometimes that is the cure to any kind of, per se, you know, blocks that we might have, is just by sitting there and letting your pen just take off on its own. But before I go on, I want to give everyone a little bit of a synopsis as to what M's Awful Good Fortune is all about. And it's not really your typical story, like you say. An American abroad, a travelogue into the heart and mind of a woman. You pull back the curtain on the globe-trotting world of an expat wife to explore issues, once again, of marriage and compromise. Your booming voice, which that fever, you know, what you're talking about. I love it. I love that terminology. The fever dream. Your M's booming voice is the engine that drives the narrative, raw, comic, and authentic. You're definitely funny. True to life, this is a disorderly journey, one that ultimately arrives at a new understanding of self-love and complexity of relationships. It blurs the line between genres, combining the narrative voice of literary fiction with the raw authenticity of memoir. Once again, and I wanna point out, everyone has reasons why we write, and you know, and certainly our desire to meet that audience who is going to most resonate with what it is that we write. And one of the things I love about this show is to shine a little bit more light on you and about your journey. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, you already were, you know, an award-winning, you know, playwright, Girls Together Always. And certainly feminist issues seem to be something of import for you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the journey so far?
Sure. Well, I do believe I view writing as an act of resistance. I mean, I started, like I said, I started and I just wrote personal stories, but then as I matured, I went, well, there has to be a reason why I'm telling these personal stories. And this book came out of the politics of what's going on, and specifically out of the idea that I was spending so much time screaming at the news every day. And at one point I just thought, well, at the end of this administration or the next administration or whatever, I'm going to have nothing but a heart attack or, high blood pressure, and that will be it. So I turned off the TV and I wrote a book. Wow. And it was really a conscious effort to channel a certain amount of feminist frustration into a story. So what started originally is, I'm going to write an expat story because I've lived everywhere and everybody wants to hear about it. Became a much more dynamic political statement about the patriarchy and how women are still impacted by a default to the system that values a man's career over a woman's.
Isn't that amazing? And and I think that the more women, especially you, tell the story of what it is that you see through your eyes because you've lived that, it's going to bring those things home to us who haven't been, quote unquote, the tagline wife, or maybe even seen, because the countries that you've been to and in the book that are basically France, and you were in China, and the matter of fact of it is that you did leave your career behind, or M left her career behind to go support her husband. So tell me a little bit about what was your intention, or was it just really M speaking through you?
What was my intention with regard to, just so I'm clear?
Your intention as to highlight the different important, factors in the story, or the feminist points that you're trying to make, instead of having a heart attack, you're like channeling it into something that's really, substantive.
It was them, I think, because I started, like I said, I started writing a memoir that was like, I've lived in all these countries. And I didn't want to write the typical memoir, which glosses over a lot of the serious issues. But once M came alive, she went, oh no, you got to talk to something else. So really, it's like I channeled her. She changed the whole dynamic of where the book was going. Still based on my lived experience and still how I feel. But once I created her, I was just able to let it rip.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And, yes, it is definitely, raw. And I know that you've gotten some critiques with regard to the way you told the story. And I love, I always say, for the reviews, I know I like to, my skin is very thin. I'm like, oh God, don't let them destroy me. I'll never be able to write again. But the reality is that one of the things I hold tight to is when books join us on our path, then if they start a conversation piece into, maybe something that needs to be changed in the world or looked at more precisely, then the book is successful, regardless of whether people turn away and say, I hated it or I loved it. It just becomes something that people start to talk about. So with regard to your path and M's awful good fortune, what have you found something that's been really wonderful as a takeaway for you that you've gained from putting it out there?
Okay, so it's been a fascinating and wonderful experience. I've been a writer for over 20 years, and it really did start, I wrote in college. I thought I wrote snippets of songs and poems, nothing more serious than that, but I always journaled and was a writer, but I hid it in it was all on my computer, but I have been taking, because I lived overseas, online writing classes for decades. And I just thought of it as a hobby. And once my play went to the Fringe and I sat in an audience, first of all, I was terrified. I went, what are people going to think? They're going to know all my stories. They're going to know too much about me. And I sat in the audience and listened to people laugh. Thought, oh, that's powerful. Yeah. That's awesome. And So that I think was the most wonderful. That was a wonderful experience, and now I'm not held back by any fear. Now I understand that there are people out there who are there are people out there who are going to get my voice, who are going to find it funny, but see the message beneath it. There are also, as you said, people who aren't. And if you read my book like a sob story, and a lot of people do, they are like, oh, she should be happy with her life. And though it's okay. I'm not writing for everybody. I'm writing for the audience that comes along on the ride with me.
You know, I love it. We all have our inner critic that rides along on one shoulder, one that says, go get him, girl. The other one says, stop, do not go, right? And the reality is, I love that you're saying that you're sitting in the audience as a part of the audience watching your show at the Fringe Festival. And then you just felt like maybe coming alive. I can see your face, how when you're talking about that. And, you know, those things that maybe existed only in your computer, only in that one place, now are invited to join us, because for some reason, now you're giving yourself permission. And to do that, you had to go on a publishing journey too. So that's also, you know, it's been over a year now that you've been out, right?
Yes.
Your anniversaries come. So now, and I love the fact that, you know, I always say the publishing journey, or the book published, there's a whole new life that starts to happen into the world.
Oh yeah.
It's all, we thought that was done. We're like, woo, everything is, no.
Oh no, we thought we were going to do the happy dance on publishing day. And
Like,
woo, that's
the balloons, and you know, that's always good, you know, to have that boom, but it's a marathon, not a race. So tell me a little bit about how that has unfolded for you. And thank you, Lee, for showing up. Hi, Lee. She's saying hello to both of us.
Hi, Lee. Hey. So, my publishing journey?
Yes.
Oh, not for the faint of heart. Publishing is so much work. And there's a lot of payoff for it, and I'm not complaining, but I had no idea how much work it would be. It's also expensive, and those of us who are self-published do know that, but the rewards are amazing. And so if you can do it, and you can make that kind of a commitment in terms of time and resources, that's great. It's just a wonderful journey, because the things that have happened along the way, being blurbed by Junot Diaz, my writing hero, I mean, that was such validation, and it enabled me to move forward and to take my work seriously, because again, I'm a person who doubted my voice to begin with. So I might have doubted the whole thing, but what he did was say, no, this is serious literature. It's also a beach read.
But that's actually the kind of good, it's kind of like, you know, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, right? So yeah. The way you write is like, but there's some real medicine in what you write that really will, in fact, you know, I always say, one of my friends, Ted, always tells me, we all will never die of terminal uniqueness. There's a storyline that we have in our lives that someone else is experiencing as well. So when we can show through the storyteller that you're not alone, this has happened to me, and this is how I elevated myself, and this is how you might be able to as well, then the whole life of another person changes, which is right. A really empowering thing. And one of the things I know that you might be working on is having this come to the movie screen, perhaps, or something bigger, who knows. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I could totally see how much fun it is, or would be, to travel with M's awful good fortune, especially to all the different countries that you've been to, for sure.
Well, M has been optioned for a limited TV series, and I don't know where that goes, because this is Hollywood and things get optioned and they don't they don't happen. But I'm really excited because somebody is out there trying to bring M to the screen, and that would be wild. That would be such a fabulous journey, because I workshopped this in Hollywood because I lived in LA. I workshopped it in Hollywood with a group. This was before COVID. We met every once every week, and everybody in my group was an actor or a writer, but mostly they were all actor writers. So the feedback I got constantly was about scenes and about how this would come to screen. And I think that impacted a lot of how it was written, because I was writing it with actors, and I was
cool.
So I was creating scenes. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, and Lee's saying that's amazing. And also Carolyn saying, yes, a publishing as a marathon, which is true. And I also want to say, though, that, you know, it's kind of like, you know, what Lee was saying, that it's really pub day is your birthing of your child, right? Your child out in the world. And you try to mold and you try to guide and you try to do whatever you can do. But ultimately, this journey your child is having is going to be a bit separate, although you are the advocate, right? You are the advocate for this child, which I love the fact that you're speaking to the point that you shopped it with actors, because no wonder it felt like a visual experience when you're reading the book. It feels like you're there because of the fact that you're telling me that's how you actually, you know, developed it, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, a lot of people just sit at their computer and they write till they have 80,000 words. I workshopped it weekly, and that gives you immediate feedback what falls flat. And these are actors. They know what falls flat. And that's, again, how I discovered M, because Marcy is just not that exciting. And so I
have a feeling you're a bit more exciting than you're giving yourself.
I'm fun, but, you know, it really, I think it was really helpful, the process that I used to write it with this group of writers.
Well, that's awesome. And okay, so you are already, like we said, a playwright. So is that something that, you know, spoke to you because of your experience writing a play and dealing with actors at that point as well?
Yeah. Okay, I don't really. I have had a play, but it was a series of monologues, and I do think I write in monologues. So, and I didn't write them for this. I just wrote them, and then somebody I know who is, again, an actor producer, came to me and said, I want to mount a show, and I basically want your work as content. And I was like, really? Okay. So I'm not really a playwright. But I have really been informed by living in Los Angeles and Hollywood and seeing my work on stage. And when I saw it, and it was performed on stage as monologues by 10 pieces by 5 different female actors. And it was amazing. And the response to it was amazing. And I realized that there's a thirst for real, authentic women's stories.
Love that. I think that's really important. And, you know, I won't let you downplay the fact that you are a playwright, even if you're saying that it's monologues, because the monologues are tied together. There's like a
through line.
There's a weave through it. You know how, you know, girls together always. It's the title, even that, you know, where you're woven these stories together, but that's life. Like, I always imagine we're always, and I say this often, you know, all the world's a stage, like Shakespeare said, and we just get to be the observers at a certain point to see who comes stage right and who comes stage left, crossing our path. And the monologue is what we decide to tell of how we've experienced as the observer, or actually the actual protagonist. So I can't let you say that. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'll bring you back to the fact that you are an incredible playwright. Authentic stories certainly are a genre that you're very good at, especially women's stories. And Jen is saying that women's stories need to be told and heard. And I think that there's more of a demand, because guess what? Women are the ones who are they go to the shows, they go to the movies, we are the audience that we're targeting. And if we are speaking to that audience, what amazing possibilities exist. And the fact of the matter is, your book does speak to that audience. It does give a view into a world a lot of people do not know about. I mean, even expats. I didn't even know that word until about 3 years ago. Imagine, I'm a former immigration attorney, and I had no idea. But these terminologies, and certainly the different experiences she has, and the wonderful the chapter titles are so delightful, even in of themselves. I mean, I think if you even go to the front and you look at her listed titles of the chapters, I'll give you guys.
Oh, I don't know if I have a title list.
Oh, you don't? Oh my God, I thought that you might, but listen, light bulb.
I could have.
And Gomen Nasai, sorry, not sorry, like I said before, and Untethered. And these are what starts you off on these particular, I would say monologues tied together as the story of M, her wonderful frenzied dream that you picked up. So I want to ask more about you as far as your hopes and dreams on your continued journey.
I just want to say I'm living in gratitude for M's journey. I think I've met or exceeded so many of I don't think I had any goals for when to do it. Just, don't embarrass yourself. No, that was my husband's goal. My husband's goal was just don't be a bad writer.
Keep the bar high, right?
Just don't be a bad writer. So I'm living in gratitude because I have achieved so much, and moving forward with M, I'd like to see her hit the screen, and that would be the cherry on the top of the cake. And I am halfway into project number 2 or 3, counting my play, and Carolyn has a question on it. So I am halfway through into my book, and I really hope to finish this. They say book 2 is harder than book 1, and I think that's been the case. And also, this is a memoir. I'm clear that it's a memoir. It is not like I don't know what genre I'm writing in. I am clear that I'm writing in memoir, which requires a different approach. It's not just wild off the cuff writing. I have to be I can't blame it on M. I have to take responsibility for every word on the page. I can't just go, oh, that was a fever dream. M wrote it. No, so it's a different process, and I'm hoping to finish it.
Well, and Carolyn's saying those titles are great. Why did you not have the chapter list? Which is it's interesting. Everyone has a different way they want to format their stories in book form. So I'm curious too. Why did you?
I don't know why I don't have one, and no one suggested that I did, and I should have, because my titles are really great. So when I reprint it, because I've sold out all the books.
Congratulations.
No, I have. When I do, see, thinking positively. What are my hopes?
Putting it out there too. Yes.
Putting it out there. Okay, I should have. Okay, next time.
It's definitely a suggestion. Certainly, like I said, they are very enticing titles to each of the chapters. And one of the things I will say this about memoir. It's funny because I think that I think M has empowered your voice even more, where you were saying Marcy's not that interesting. Now you realize, yeah, maybe my life is pretty damn interesting. And, this doesn't happen to everybody, right? That's what makes you an amazing author, is that you realize, and I do believe that every person has a story to tell. And I think that you have to find your voice to actually engage your audience and the way you want to tell the story. And the beautiful thing is, once you keep when you keep to your craft, you keep doing the work, and you sit down, and that's what makes an author amazing, is the whole process. And they do say happiness is the journey, not the destination. And as you see the story come to light, your story now, I'm really wondering, what were some takeaways that you want to bring to this part of your journey now, this new, I guess you're writing a new chapter for yourself, a new book.
I think the biggest takeaway is that I've been writing it half time while I've been promoting M. And I wrote M full time while I was avoiding the news. So
I love it.
And I can tell in my book that I'm not in it 100%. And so with my 1-year anniversary coming up, I'm really going to start making a commitment to prioritize my new project.
Oh wow!
Or it'll never happen.
Title now, or is it just secretive? And
it is secretive. They say you shouldn't talk about it.
Okay.
And actually, there was a book that I spent a year kind of working before M came out, and I've totally shelved it. So I do not feel, I feel that I've gotten much farther with this book, but I think I'm going to keep it under wraps.
Okay. Well,
I don't want anyone to steal my idea.
Well, that won't happen. And the only thing that will happen with regard to any of your ideas is that the buzz will get out there and more people will want to know, who's this M? Who's this Marcy? Oh my God, all this wonderful stuff that she brings to the table. I want to read more about that. So that's my take, but I definitely respect other people's approach to it. But I'm all about the buzz. Oh my God, did you hear? Oh my God, you'll never know. And oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's my personality. I have effusiveness when it comes to things I like. And once again, I will encourage all of you to go out there and get M's Awful Good Fortune. Contact Marcie Maxfield. How can people get in touch with you and find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram, I think as Marcie Max or something, Marcie Max. I'm on Facebook as Marcie Blumberg Maxfield. And that little middle name gives you a clue on my memoir. So Meg, I know you wanted a little, and you got it.
You're giving me a teaser. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I have an author's page for Marcie Maxfield author on Facebook. I've got a website, Marcie Maxfield. Oh, and I really want to say that right now I'm having my BookBub sale, which is exciting. So the book is on sale for 99 cents in the US and other English-speaking countries like Canada, India, Great Britain, and Australia.
And it definitely is a wonderful beach read because it goes fast, but at the same time, the experience you have, you'll feel like you did go on vacation by the time you finish it because of what she does engage and what she actually is offering the reader. Okay, so one of the questions I love is that I ask the authors, what is one thing you want to be known for? Like,
ooh, this is a surprise. Well, I want to be known as a woman for telling women's stories with a strong gender. I think I have a gender neutral voice. I have a voice that men and women relate to. I'm a strong, funny female writer.
I love it. I love it. So all of you out there, if you're looking for strong, funny, raw, candid, authentic writing, go look up Marcie Maxfield's book, M's Awful Good Fortune. It is wherever books are sold, and she is coming up on her year. She's got her 99 cents BookBub sale. Go grab it. You're going to really, really appreciate it. The story is wonderful. The storyteller is even more wonderful and amazing. So I'm very grateful that you've been on our show today. And yes, Carolyn's saying strong, funny females. I love it. We need more of that. And we certainly need more female stories out there that'll guide the way for the generation to follow. And yes, Lee's saying your writing voice is so unique. And it is because, Marcie, really, you are very unique and engaging and delightful. And I've really enjoyed having you on the show today. So once again, books change lives. Great writing stirs our emotion, makes us feel, and those authors who are vulnerable to the extent of sharing their stories are changing the world. Keep making a difference. I can't wait to see what the next go round looks like. I can't wait to see M on the big screen, whatever that looks like. So anyone out there who's watching this, you want this book out there. We have really, really wonderful substance and content here, and people are going to want to watch it. So congratulations, Marcie. Congratulations on your upcoming anniversary. I'm so grateful to have you on the show. Amazing Authors, episode number 18. Go do your thing, and we hope to see more and more of you and bring you back in the future, telling an even better story about yourself. So everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much, Marcie. And
thank you, Meg. It was a pleasure to be here. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.